The relationship between the United States and China is one of the most consequential in the 21st century, marked by both cooperation and competition, shaped by historical forces and contemporary realities. Understanding the past dynamics is essential for navigating the present and shaping the future. From early trade to Cold War tensions and post-Cold War engagement, the two nations have traversed a complex path. As China's economic and military might grows, the U.S. faces a rising power challenging its global dominance. This essay delves into historical interactions, current standings, and future trajectories. Understanding these dynamics is paramount for global stability and prosperity. The U.S. and China are bound by a complex web of economic ties, geopolitical interests, and shared challenges. Unraveling this web requires a nuanced understanding of their past, present, and future. The first encounters between the U.S. and China date back to the late 18th century, marked by trade and missionary activities. The U.S. saw China as a vast market for its goods, while China viewed the U.S. with curiosity and suspicion. The Opium Wars forced China to open its doors to Western powers, including the U.S., but also led to resentment and instability. The early 20th century saw the fall of the Qing dynasty and the rise of the Republic of China. The U.S. supported China's open-door policy while maneuvering for its own interests. World War II brought the U.S. and China together as allies against Japan. Post-war, the rise of communism in China and the Korean War pushed the U.S. and China into opposing camps. Nixon's historic visit to China in 1972 marked a turning point in U.S.-China relations. The post-Cold War era witnessed a complex interplay of cooperation and competition between the U.S. and China. On the one hand, both countries recognized the benefits of economic interdependence, with China becoming a major trading partner and a destination for foreign investment. On the other hand, China's rapid economic growth, military modernization, and assertive foreign policy posture raised concerns in Washington. The U.S. pursued a policy of engagement with China, hoping to integrate it into the rules-based international order and encourage political and economic reforms. However, this policy was not without its critics, who argued that it emboldened China and allowed it to challenge U.S. hegemony. Despite areas of cooperation such as climate change and counterterrorism, several issues continue to strain U.S.-China relations. These include trade disputes, intellectual property theft, human rights concerns, China's military activities in the South China Sea, and the status of Taiwan. The U.S. and China find themselves locked in a complex and evolving relationship characterized by elements of both cooperation and competition. Managing this intricate relationship is crucial for global peace and stability in the 21st century. China's economic transformation over the past 4 decades has been nothing short of remarkable. Since adopting market-oriented reforms in 1978, China has witnessed an unprecedented surge in economic growth, lifting millions out of poverty and propelling it to become the world's second-largest economy. China's economic rise has been fueled by a combination of factors, including a vast and increasingly skilled labor force, a high savings rate, massive infrastructure investments, and a relentless focus on export-oriented growth. China has become the world's factory, producing a wide range of goods from textiles and electronics to automobiles and heavy machinery. However, China's economic model has also drawn criticism. Critics argue that it relies heavily on state-owned enterprises, lacks transparency and intellectual property protection, and creates an uneven playing field for foreign companies. These concerns have led to trade tensions with the U.S. and other countries. Despite these challenges, China's economic clout continues to grow. It is now a major player in global finance, a leading investor in developing countries, and a driving force behind initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative. Section 5. The Innovation Race, a game changer. Beyond its economic might, China is also rapidly emerging as a global leader in innovation. The Chinese government has made technological advancement a top priority, investing heavily in research and development, fostering a culture of entrepreneurship, and seeking to attract top talent from around the world. China has made significant strides in areas such as artificial intelligence, quantum computing, biotechnology, renewable energy, and space exploration. It is home to some of the world's leading tech companies, including Huawei, Alibaba, and Tencent, which are challenging the dominance of their American counterparts. China's focus on innovation is driven by a desire to become a global technological superpower and to enhance its economic competitiveness. The Chinese government sees technological innovation as key to achieving its goal of national rejuvenation and establishing itself as a leading force in the 21st century. The US and China are now locked in an intense competition for technological supremacy, with far-reaching implications for global economic and military power. Section 6. The Eagle and the Dragon Military Might. As China's economic and technological prowess has grown, so too has its military might. China has embarked on a massive military modernization program. This includes hypersonic missiles, stealth fighters, aircraft carriers, and cyber warfare capabilities. China's assertiveness is evident in the South China Sea, where it has built artificial islands and deployed military assets, raising tensions with neighboring countries and the US. The US still maintains a significant military advantage over China, but the gap is narrowing. Section 7. Power Shifts and Global Influence. China's rise as an economic and military power is transforming the global balance of power. This has led to increased competition between China and the US for global influence. China's Belt and Road Initiative aims to connect Asia, Europe, and Africa through infrastructure. The US is responding by strengthening alliances and bolstering its military presence. The competition between the US and China is shaping the geopolitical landscape. Section 8. Navigating the South China Sea Dispute. The South China Sea is a major flashpoint in US-China relations. China claims almost the entire South China Sea as its sovereign territory, overlapping with the claims of several Southeast Asian countries, including Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan. The US has a strong interest in ensuring freedom of navigation in the South China Sea, a vital waterway for global trade. China has been building artificial islands and militarizing its outposts in the South China Sea, raising tensions with its neighbors and the US. The US has responded by conducting freedom of navigation operations in the region and providing military support to its allies in Southeast Asia. The South China Sea dispute is a complex issue with historical, legal, and geopolitical dimensions. Resolving the dispute peacefully will require all parties to exercise restraint, engage in dialogue, and respect international law. The US and China must find ways to manage their differences in the South China Sea to avoid miscalculations and prevent the escalation of tensions. Section 9. Taiwan, a flashpoint in the Pacific. Taiwan is another major point of contention between the US and China. China considers Taiwan to be a breakaway province that must be reunified with the mainland, by force if necessary. The US has a long-standing policy of strategic ambiguity towards Taiwan, meaning that it does not explicitly state whether it would defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese attack. Tensions across the Taiwan Strait have been rising in recent years, with China increasing its military activities near Taiwan and the US strengthening its support for Taiwan's defense. The US has also been increasing its arms sales to Taiwan, which China views as a provocation. The Taiwan issue is a highly sensitive one for both the US and China, with the potential to spark a major conflict. Managing the Taiwan issue peacefully will require both sides to exercise restraint, maintain open lines of communication, and avoid taking actions that could escalate tensions. The US and China must find ways to manage their differences over Taiwan, to prevent a crisis that could have devastating consequences for the region and the world. Section 10. Cooperation or conflict charting the future. The future of US-China relations is uncertain. Some experts believe that the two countries are on a collision course, arguing that their rivalry is rooted in fundamental differences in values, ideology, and national interests. They point to the growing strategic competition between the two countries, the risk of miscalculation and escalation, and the lack of trust between their leaders. Others are more optimistic, arguing that the US and China can find ways to manage their competition and cooperate on areas of shared interest, such as climate change, pandemics, and nuclear non-proliferation. They point to the deep economic interdependence between the two countries, the potential for cooperation on global challenges, and the desire of both countries to avoid conflict. The future of US-China relations will depend on a number of factors, including the domestic political situations in both countries, the evolution of the global balance of power, and the choices that leaders on both sides make. Section 11. A new world order, the stakes for humanity. The US and China are the world's two most powerful countries, and their relationship will shape the 21st century. The stakes for humanity are high. A cooperative relationship between the US and China could lead to a more peaceful and prosperous world. The two countries could work together to address global challenges, such as climate change, poverty, and disease. They could also promote economic growth and development around the world. However, a conflictual relationship between the US and China would be disastrous for both countries and the world. A military conflict between the two countries would be devastating, and even a trade war would have severe economic consequences. A world divided between the US and China would be a less stable and less prosperous world. The US and China must find a way to coexist peacefully and manage their competition responsibly. The future of humanity may depend on it.